You can just be present in the true person that you are. And what Keith Thorn would say is start with gratitude.
And it's basically talking about your inner voice. Be careful with that because it's not always true. If you're telling yourself a negative story, it's not true.
This is this just letters to the children, or is this?
There's a transition that happens in there. It's a kind of an interesting book to me in that you're trying to speak to adult children, but certainly not say, I did the best I could.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely not something. Well, I mean, I'm not going to say you didn't say that, but basically, I guess the way I would say it is you're not perfect.
Yeah, and I made the choices I made, and bad choices at times, but I made them based on what I thought my options were and what my mental state was at that time. And there's a lot of things that went into that.
What you at least thought was best at that time, but then you kind of reflect on that wasn't maybe the best choice, even though I thought at the time that it was the best choice.
Yeah. It was maybe a quick choice or maybe an impulsive choice or maybe rooted in a poor attitude or a poor feeling. And so they're certainly trying to say, hey, I own up to what I did. You know, ultimately, I'm talking to each child, 3 children separately, Madison, Mackenzie, and Austin. Talk to them straight without making excuses. That's the hardest part in all of it, is to say things but not make excuses. And then talk to the reader as if they're the third party in this conversation, you know. I'm talking directly to them.
Yeah, I thought this was interesting. People often say just move on as if life is a sidewalk and not a wilderness. But for those of us who've walked through thorns of change know that it's never just a step forward. It's 1,000 small decisions. It's unpacking your guilt, your shame, your hopes, and re-choosing who you want to be now.
That's what I think so hard about reflecting on all of that. It was, 1,000 cuts. It wasn't in one thing, you know.
Well, yeah, you actually say in a paragraph prior to that, it wasn't dramatic. There wasn't slammed doors or grand announcements. It was quiet, slow, like autumn leaves letting go one by one because they knew it was time.
In all of that, I'm saying, hey, I grew up also. And I'm a little more mature than I was when I was overwhelmed.
Right. And I guess, so for part of me, I'm reading this book through a different lens. And this particular chapter intrigued me because what I had talked about before was, I started this thing, Authority Union. The idea is for people to be their authentic self. And through being their authentic self, they become a thought leader and an authority. Right. And so to me, deciding to be your true self is like starting again, sort of. Right. You're stripping off the mask. You're stripping off the costume. You're stripping away all the titles and saying, who am I really? And who do I want, how do I want to move forward with who I am really? And I think some of this here kind of goes with that.
Yeah.
Because you talk about how to begin again. And, it's going to feel lonely. People are not going to understand you. You're going to have to make small steps. Small steps are going to count. You're allowed to want joy, and you're never too old. You didn't say you're never too old. What do you put? You are not too old, but I'm saying you're never too old. The clock hasn't ran out until it's ran out. And I think those correspond to, if you want to really kind of dig down deep and find out, who am I really? I've been living this life. I'm not saying even necessarily that it's a miserable life. It could be just you keep filling in these roles that have been assigned to you that don't really represent who you are. And when you finally say, you know what, I just want to be me. I don't want to be something I'm not.
Yeah. And you've talked about your dad's passing and my mom passed a year ago this month. And And some of this comes out of all of that. We look at our behaviors and we say, were those really my behaviors, or did I just learn them? And then you start really realizing it's not about doing the best you could, because there's always better. That seems like such a lame comment to me now. It's with the choices they had, with the outlook they had, with the timing they had, with the pressure, with the constraints, with everything they had, that was choices they made. And, now I'm 67. I don't have those pressures anymore. I don't have those constraints anymore. So I've kind of reached a point in life, especially after 30 years of martial arts, I've learned to calm down quite a bit. Not every fight's worth fighting. You don't need a sword in every situation, Now it's okay to not engage, to not win, to not debate, to not be right. And so much has changed. And when that aging is part of unmasking, it allows us something that you can't rush. You can't just say, I'm going to unmask. It's an ongoing, long process. And in this,
what do you think the first step is?
I think unmasking for me generally is about repairing how I've hurt myself and how I've hurt others. So a lot of, I think, unmasking for me starts with just realizing I need to repair something.
Wow.
And the only way I can repair it is start with me. I can't fix other people. I can't, have that tattoo, let them. And whether people like you or don't like you or love you or hate you, trying to learn to just let them. That's their choice. But the things that I can correct, the things that I can repair, the things that I can begin to, first of all, empathize with myself first.
Right, because you can't love anybody else until you can learn to love yourself, right?
And just empathize there first, and then realize what I was doing, maybe look at it all differently.
I mean, I look at my family now, and I look at my kids, and they're all grown, and I look at all the pictures and events that happened, and it makes me sad sometimes. People are like, why would that make you sad? Because I go, I wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
I was somewhere else. I might have been there physically, but I wasn't there.
That's part of that.
I was so
pressure.
Concerned about everything else that honestly wasn't important.
Mm-hmm.
That was so much more important. Like I tell everybody I know today that has young children, I go, enjoy them.
Yeah.
Because you're going to blink and they're going to be 25 years old and they're going to be gone.
And that book's about my grown children don't talk to me to this day.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
So that's a lot of where that's coming from. So
that's got to be hard.
At the very end of the book, I say the door's open. I can't make you walk through it, but I'm open and I'm waiting for you.
Wow, that's an interesting. That changes the book a lot, knowing that.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things I'm trying not to say in a book. I'm trying not to, as they say, put your dirty laundry out there.
Sure.
Not trying to do that. I'm just trying to say, okay, what if my kids never read that book? What would it mean to somebody else who may have been through that kind of process, like you said, where, I was always working. I wasn't there. And when I was there, I wasn't there because I could never turn the pressure off. I could never unwind.
Right.
And I argue with my wife because, and that wasn't the best picture for them to see. And you go on and on. The issue is more now that, hey, I recognize this. And here's what I hope you remember, even in those negatives. I think I told you a story about somebody interviewing. It was actually a counselor and they were saying what a terrible parent they were. And the mother was saying, before the divorce, I used to take my kids to the museum. I used to cook great meals for them. I used to do all kinds of things. after the divorce, I could barely get out of bed. I made peanut butter jelly sandwiches. I downsized my apartment to a 1-bedroom because I couldn't afford it anymore. My kids saw a lot of that, but the reality is still there that when we were together, it was like a sleepover. And even though the times were a lot less, they were good that way. And though I didn't do a lot of things because maybe I was depressed, I made sure I did everything you needed and make it a good memory, even though it was a tough time. And so there's a lot of things I hope they remember. And
so when's the last time that you actually did speak with them?
I haven't seen my kids for 5 years or talked to them for 5 years.
Okay.
You know, it really came down to when I remarried Melody 5 years ago. They felt like that was a betrayal to them, that they really wanted some input into that decision. And I rarely even saw them. And when you reach out to them or, you know, that kind of stuff. So I didn't even consider that they wanted input into that. And
because they were all adults at the time.
Yeah. The
Right.
youngest was 25. The oldest was 33 at the time, or 30-ish. And so that was what they told me. They were just done. And so it's not much you can discuss or debate about that. And
yeah, it's really tough. I had an uncle that, you know, got a divorce. He did wait probably, I don't know, honestly, probably too long. He waited till all the kids were adults.
Yeah.
But I think he probably would have divorced earlier if he, for whatever reason, made that choice, right?
Yeah.
To stay in it until they were adults. And then he what he would say himself in his own words, he's like, then I met the love of my life. And his second wife was the love of his life. And, you know, I can't really say that I could see that much of a difference between one woman to the next. I didn't live there every day. I didn't live his life, so I don't know. But I do know that from his perspective, that was the love of his life. And I think his kids finally came around, but I'm sure they weren't happy about it either.
Yeah. And, it's one of those things where you just never know how it's going to turn out. And at a certain point, that's the whole let them concept. I just have to let them. It ate at me for years that it's like the most hurtful thing that your children won't talk to you. But
my son, what was it? Something happened the other day. I forgot what happened. I can't remember. I don't know if somebody was trying to call me or something. I didn't answer. I didn't get to it. And he's like, if that was Michaela, you'd be tripping over yourself to answer the phone. That's my oldest is out in California, who I don't see very often because she's in California. So, I definitely understand that. So, but then Christian lives with me. Yeah. You know, he's still at home.
Yeah.
And so,
it's,
so
you know,
he's like, you didn't take my phone calls. I'm like, well, he goes, you would have taken that phone call if that would have been Michaela. And I'm like, yeah, well, you're at home every day and she's over there in California. And
well, we love our children all differently. You know, it's the same love, but it's a different revelation of it. You know, especially
each experience is different, right? You have your oldest, it's your first. Yeah. So you're learning, you're a young parent, you don't know what you don't know. And then the second comes along, and then the third comes along, because you have three and I have three. And by the third one, it's kind of.
I can remember looking at their mother saying, who's got the third one? Because usually one of you has them, but the third one's the milestone, because now where's the third one? You know, neither one of you's holding them, you know, if they're young. But this book is really trying to unmask, be transparent, accept responsibility, acknowledge.
Well, and you also share kind of the relationship with Melody too.
Yeah. Yeah.
being real, right? Being authentic. And maybe that was the attraction, right? I guess she had been through a different relationship.
Yeah. She had 4 kids of her own. And,
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you guys were both at a point in your lives where like, okay, we kind of know what we want.
And and
we can just be real and we don't have to play any kind of games and just here it is. Oops.
If you're in a relationship where, you know, you're with somebody who's always correcting you or always, you know, dealing with you that way, it's you can feel that way about it.
Wow.
Melody doesn't try to correct me. She doesn't try to fix me. She pretty much accepts me the way I am. Sometimes she questions my thoughts and my actions and my motivations, but she's like I said before, she's a cancer survivor, so she's past the games. And being in a relationship with somebody like that it's something I had never experienced before.
Because every moment counts, right?
Yeah. And so
it's a blessing.
You're making the best of the
you're
rest.
You're grateful of, I like that. That's right.
Thing.
I remember you saying that. You're making the best of the rest. That's kind of the model between the two of you, right?
Yeah.
Not just you or her. That's you together coming up with that.
Yeah. The day we met on our first date, we talked about how that was the goal in our lives, and we agreed on that. We had no long-term thoughts of each other, but we knew that was it. We were expressing that was important to us up front.
Right.
Like
so
that.
You were 62 years old.
Yep. 62. We've been married 5 years. We have a relationship that I've never had before. For whatever reason, the maturity level just wasn't there between two people in my case. And I've never had that kind of a relationship with someone where I could express myself, what I really felt.
So many times my relationship could have gone sideways, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I could have experienced the same thing. And I feel like, you get caught up with, you got to get the job, you got to go to school, got to get the degree, got to get the job, got to get the house, or I could get the car, get the house, and then you got to go on the vacations. And it just all this thing that, if you watch TV and the commercials and the magazines and all the ads and the billboards and everything, this is what it is to be alive and to live and to be successful.
Yeah.
And I think so much of it is wrong.
Yeah. Well,
I think what happens is you get lost in all. Back to what I'm trying to say. I was in all of that, and I might have been present, but I wasn't present because I had I got to do this, and I'm looking on the next thing and the next thing, and it might appear so in the beginning, but as you get older and wiser, like we were talking about with things that I'm talking,
I don't know. When I said that originally, the thought in my mind was that Lord of the Rings, where that little guy's talking about the shiny thing and the weird voice,
Right. Yeah. He's after that. He wants that ring.
Yeah.
And
I was mentioning melody, and I had never. So part of unmasking is you have to have somebody that you're able to unmask with. It's part of the process. And she's the only person I've ever met. You talked about that guy who said, this is the love of my life. And I would say, yeah, she is. And for one of the main reasons with Melody is she invites me to say what's on my mind in a way that I'm comfortable with expressing. So I've kind of reached that point over the past 5 years. If I think something with her, I say it. Most men don't do that.
You don't have to be on guard.
Yeah, most men don't say what they're thinking. They just don't, for a million reasons or whatever's going on. But she's really encouraged me to say what I think. She hasn't done anything. She just gives me the love that says it's okay, whatever you're thinking. And I don't think I've ever felt that. So when I'm writing that book, I was in a place where I didn't feel love. I wasn't safe with my own feelings. And so unmasking is getting around somebody who allows you that comfort. And not everybody does that. It's a really...
What was interesting is that recent post, a 3-part post that Aaron posted. Did you read that one?
Yeah.
Aaron Rowley, about that exact thing. And maybe that's a thing, is that for whatever reason, we know you don't necessarily need that other person's permission, but maybe it's just helpful being in the presence of another human that says, yeah, you're more than just this. And
sometimes men have friends like that where you can say what you're thinking. And I'm not talking about negative thoughts or bad thoughts or all that kind of stuff. I'm just being honest, being unmasked.
Well, I'll tell you, kind of, this has happened to me recently, is I got connected up, and actually his podcast is dropping tomorrow. Charles Sanderson's old elementary school friend of mine, even went to Hawaii on a family trip with us and used to hang out at his house, spend the night. He spent the night at my house, sleepovers. We were talking about something the last trip I was here. And I think it came out and he's like, dude, I'm just spitballing. I'm like, yeah, it's cool. But, there's a lot of people when you're, and I find it because I spitball ideas is what I'm calling it, just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
Just because I'm throwing it out there doesn't mean I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
I'm just talking out loud, sharing myself openly. And I do that kind of regularly. And some people just think, man, he's just like off the wall crazy sometimes. And I'm just throwing ideas out there, just seeing what, what's the downside to it? What's the upside to it? What's this? And so, he was talking last time with me and another college buddy of mine who happens St. Louis. I think, was it you just said St. Louis is, no, it's Boyd. Says St. Louis is the biggest small town there is. Everybody is connected.
Yeah.
3 different degrees. It's always crazy. Like you and I are connected.
Yeah.
And so, he's like, oh, we're just throwing around ideas. That's all. That doesn't mean that, he goes, it's not that I'm not serious. It's just that, I just threw that out there and I got to kind of think about it. And now that I've kind of had a chance to actually think it all the way through, like, no, I don't think that's a good idea. And that's okay. And I told him, I go, dude, it's cool, man. Just let it go. It's all right.
Yeah.
You're not going to hurt my feelings by saying, oh, I said that, but now I'm kind of reneging on that. And
you kind of hit on the word that I wasn't expressing with melody. And it's that freedom to express.
Just that freedom just to share ideas with each other. And it maybe it's something you act on. Maybe I remember, I don't know, I was sitting down with Elena and we were talking about ideas, and I had met someone who had moved to Spain and was living in Spain. And I was looking at, what would it take to go move to Spain and do that? And Christian mentioned to his teachers, like, you guys aren't going to really move to Spain. He's like, well, I don't know. Dad's talking about it. And he's like, well, yeah, I'm just talking about it. It doesn't mean that we're going to go do it. Yeah. I'm looking into it and seeing, I don't know.
There's a real freedom in being able to not hold your thoughts up so much and just express them. And there's a real freedom in that.
And I guess my wife does that to an extent because she listens to all this crazy nonsense that Kirk comes up with.
The best concepts were once considered crazy, so
sure.
It's a freedom. I think what my kids don't understand is without melody, I would have never found the freedom to write that book or the ability to write that book.
You would have been still kind of in a really dark place. I would have been
stuck.
Yeah.
So getting unstuck's a lot of different phases, but you almost need somebody with you to be unstuck with.
Well, and like I said, even a stranger like Aaron being on that plane ride with that woman, and she's drawing that, and she's like, "Oh, I've never shown anybody this. This is jump." Like, that's not jump. You need to actually, and she just needed that one person to look at it and say, "Yeah, that you've got some worth, you have some value, and you have some talent." And I always think of, I say that on the one side of my mouth, and I always think about the what is it called? Like the American Idol tryouts. And you got the people that are somehow blinded to the idea that they have an ounce of talent when they just don't. And then,
I'm pretty convinced that's just for
That's just for ratings.
Effect, yeah. This is really bad and this is good. I'm pretty convinced. In any other environment, they wouldn't.
Maybe those are paid actors to show up.
Yeah, I think it's something like that. I don't think in any other, in a high school, a high school talent show, they wouldn't do that. I mean, they wouldn't
probably never even make it to the show. Right?
Yeah, they would be like, you can't do it.
you don't have the chops for it. Yeah, I do believe everybody has a talent. It's just sometimes, you don't have that. I mean, you're not musical.
Yeah.
And it's okay.
Yeah. Not everybody's everything,
Can't be. It's impossible.
It's, the greatest musicians are maybe lousy at soccer. The greatest soccer players may not be able to do whatever, it's just.
Yeah, it's all tied to the myelin of the nerves. And the more you do it, the more myelin it goes and the faster the nerves can transmit. And you just develop that talent. I mean, I guess that's the thing in martial arts. They call, what is it, muscle memory? Or you do these forms, you do these activities so many times, and that one builds on the other, to when you actually have to use that, you're not thinking about it because you've done it, 100,000 times.
Yeah.
And it's all built on each other. And you don't even think about it because now that myelin's been built up on those nerve pathways, and it just happens. Hey, we have a little visitor here. What's her name?
This is Millicent. I'll call her Millie.
Millie?
Yeah, this was kind of
what kind of kitty is she?
She's just a pretty kitty. She's a friendly one.
She's got a nice color.
Nice coat. She likes pretty much everybody except the dog.
Does the dog like her?
No,
that's mine.
That's why she's down here, and the dog's upstairs.
She likes the dog, but the dog doesn't like her.
It becomes a bit confusing to us when we tie all of our words to our worth, our ego, and we were talking about being young dads and not being there for kids, and most of that's because we didn't understand worth. We understood ego, and ego drove us. And it's just a shame that a lot of men make that mistake.
Right. Yeah, because you're young. You just don't have the wisdom and maturity yet. I thought she was knocking it over for a minute.
Yeah. Most of us, I always tell I have 2 sons and my wife has 3 sons. I always tell her that boys grow up slow,
Well, they do. I would have to agree with that.
I'll be like, he's only 40.
He's only 40.
Men are really slow. Some of the stuff, some of the unmasking, some of the unlayering, some of the things that have happened. And, I was in my 60s. You just start where you are.
Well, right. You said that. Yeah. Don't worry about it. This is where I'm at. And I finally kind of figured it out that I was living off of ego. And that was.
I never met my dad. I met him when I was 30, but he died about 2 years later. He was in Vietnam, and he got an Agent Orange, and he died from basically lung cancer. And so I had never met him. So I had this really warped idea about growing up that I was always going to be a better dad than my dad, which took zero talent because I never even met the man. So when my kids quit talking, that was like, wow, I was not a better dad. So it was a real humbling experience. And I'm sure they didn't do it to humble me. But in the process, I was certainly humbled. I'm 67, so a lot of what I write about is redemption, second chances. You're not done yet. How do we make the best of the rest? Gratitude. I still love that line in No Grapes of Gratitude, which is gratitude has no room for entitlement, leaves no room for entitlement. So anytime I'm something that I've just learned since being around Melody, that if I'm ungrateful, it's because I'm feeling entitled. You know, if I'm angry with my kids for not talking to me, it's because I'm feeling entitled. You know, somehow. So I've tried to really let go of anything that's...
Well, I just read the book, what's the name of it? Something Impostor Syndrome, Gary Fry. Mm-hmm. He's another person on LinkedIn you might see me interact with.
Yeah.
And I got his book and read it. And one of the things that I thought was really interesting in it, what he kind of tied to is when you are in an imposter syndrome, you're focused on lack. You're focusing on what you don't have because you think you're an imposter. You're thinking, well, I don't have.
Yeah.
And so your mindset is on lack. When you have gratitude, now you're thinking in abundance. You're thinking, look at all that I have. No matter how small it is, I have all this. And you're coming from an abundance. So from a scarcity to an abundance mindset. And I think that really changes perspective.
It does. Even Melody and I just had a conversation this week, I think, or last week. It was like, what are we saving for? You know, your health's going to fail. It's not just eat the cake, buy the car, all that. It's be more thoughtful about what you're doing, your time and your money. And it doesn't mean you have to spend it unwisely, but just to save it. And
what are you saving it for?
What?
For what, right?
Yeah,
like my wife and I have invested significantly in our health recently.
Yeah.
In the last 6 months.
Yeah.
And seeing a traditional Chinese doctor, holistic medicine. She's also an MD, which really, I think you're getting kind of, and a herbalist on top of all of that.
Yeah.
And just getting our bodies right. And it's just amazing how much your body works and your mind working on our gut health. So your gut is either, I don't know, some will argue that your gut's your primary brain.
Yeah.
Like literally your primary brain is your gut, not your thing up here. This is nothing. It's down here.
Yeah.
Some will argue that, but it definitely impacts your thoughts, right? And in your mind, your gut. Who would have thought that, right? But if your gut is all out of whack, you're going to be all out of whack. And so, my gut was a mess last fall, a mess. I've worked really hard to finally get it right, and it's finally gotten right. And so we're going to keep it right, but it's a journey for sure, right? And then getting our what's it called, neurotransmitters. I can't name all the different ones, but like the serotonins and all of that stuff, getting that dialed in. Okay. So that's and that's something MDs don't talk about that with you. And there's tests out there you can get. The insurance doesn't pay for it. Yeah. You got to come out of pocket. It's like $600, I think.
Yeah.
And it's just, and you can get things resolved with just some over-the-counter supplements that are, just a few bucks. It's amazing, but it takes somebody that is interested in your well-being and to sit down with you and say, hey, there's this test that you can take. And it sounds like you might be. The
answers aren't in pills. I mean, the pill's just going to mask whatever.
Well, that's the thing with pharmaceuticals. Different to me, pharmaceuticals versus supplements versus just eating good, right? So, start eating good and then maybe add some supplements, but the supplements aren't there to mask or cover up. Pharmaceuticals typically by definition is to mask a symptom for the most part. At least that's been my experience in life, is that you take a pharmaceutical to mask a symptom, not to cure. They call it maybe to treat it, but it's stuff, I don't know. Treat means to mask. And it's like you can take a pain med. It's masking the pain, but it's not solving the underlying cause. Why are you experiencing this pain?
Or even inflammation and ibuprofen or whatever. It's just masking your inflammation.
Right, exactly. So getting off of all of that junk if you can, I think it's possible.
It's a great help.
I mean, some things I can't help. I'm taking pharmaceuticals for my allergies. That just some things I'm doing other work. I'm doing the serum injections. I'm doing other things. And we're seeing where that goes. I want to get to the point where I'm leveled off on the serum injections where you get to once a month. And I'll probably even, at that point, seeing how things are, I'll probably go and look at even acupuncture as a treatment method for that as well.
In Aikido, there's a massage therapy that is done. It's called Kiatsu, which is Kiful. But it's not truly a massage. It's called Kiatsu.
So it's tied to ki?
Yes. So the idea,
ki flow.
Yeah. Ki flow. So the idea is you're not manipulating like to rub the pain out or to do things like that. What you're doing is you're trying to bring the person's attention to where they're cutting off their ki. So it's kind of, a real simplistic way would be say you're tense here. So the idea is not to massage it out, but to allow that person to connect with their tension and work on just mentally reducing it. Just, the whole.
Is there any people that are here local that practice
I don't know who does Kiatsu here local. I used to have a friend that was higher ranked than me. And Kiatsu is one of those things where once the Americans started trying to regulate it, it became problematic.
Right.
You have to have a license and you have to do all this. Well, it used to just be part of Ki Aikido. It was something you learned and you worked on as you went up in the ranks. And the founder was a master at it. And it's kind of one of those things they've kind of lost out. There's different people around the country that can do it, but you just don't see it anymore.
It's kind of like I was suffering really bad from what's it called, vertigo.
Oh, wow.
And I had a chiropractor perform a Epley's maneuver on me. And I found, this is a guy I happened across while I was in the DFW airport, and he still practiced in Dallas, and I found him again. And I explained what was going on. He was like, "Oh, I got this thing I can try." And I go, "What's it called?" And Epley maneuver. And apparently there's actually certifications you can get with it. And it helped, but it didn't cure me. And I was also doing acupuncture, and I was also doing herbal tea. What I found was interesting is that the acupuncture and the herbal tea was almost like a pharmaceutical in a way. It would mask, it would like slow it down, but it wouldn't get rid of it.
Uh-huh.
And then I went back to another chiropractor that knew how to do it, and I did it again, and it helped, but then it came back. And then I went to his partner, who actually went to Logan, and he did it again. And then that time, I don't know if it was, it took the 3 times to get it to finally, because apparently there's like these crystals in your ears, and if they get whatever, you can get vertigo. And after that 3rd time, I haven't done herbal tea for it. I haven't done acupuncture for it, and I've never seen them back.
That's good. But a pill wouldn't have solved anything.
No. And actually, I even went to the MD. They did all these tests on the inner ear and all. Apparently, I guess they have no way to actually look
really
at
can't do anything
that
about
crystal thing. Is it a crystal? Do you know anything about this?
Yeah, there's like crystals in your ear, and they have to do with your balance. And those crystals aren't functioning properly. You can't get your balance.
So, because one of the things that people suffer when they get older is balance issues.
Uh-huh.
Is that because of the crystals or because of strength or a combination of crystals and strength? Or
I think my personal opinion, from what I've watched, is it has a lot to do with posture. When you lose your posture, you've probably lost a good percentage of balance. 2 things that I've noticed watching my stepdad was 96 when he died. My mom was 92. Once the posture starts going, the more the posture goes, the more it's almost impossible to keep your balance almost. And then secondly, we talked before about how they walk. So if you're walking on your heels and your posture's off, it's
making me want to sit up straight now.
Well, and all I mean by posture is just the hunching over.
Right. I was hunching over.
We're not hunching, even if we're not straight. I'm talking about people, once you see the whole head rolling and the shoulders rolling forward. Sometimes there'll be osteoporosis, things like that, curvature in the upper neck and, stuff like that. But I tell people all the time, all I want to do is, if I make it to my 90s, just have good posture. I'd be happy. I don't need to be that strong.
My mom still has good posture for the most part. And one of the things that I would say is a key to her success is regular massages and stretching.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she's seeing Sam, a client of mine. She's seeing Sam that does FST stretching. And she's only had, I think, 2 sessions, maybe 3.
Yeah.
Wow. Just a few. I mean, and he's like, when am I going to, she goes, next week. She's wanting to get to where she goes once a month, but she recognizes that every week it's building. And
it's flexibility is a really good thing. It seems like in our bodies, you get one thing tight and then the other side of your body tries to offset that, and it just becomes this constant offsetting of tightness. And
I don't know. It's just, and the tools are there. I had a horrible night last night, and I should have done some yoga before I went to bed. I didn't, because I was lazy. I'll just be honest. I was being lazy. And because I was lazy, I got what I deserved. I got a horrible night. So this morning I woke up, I'm like, you need to do yoga. I didn't want to do it. I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't want to do it. I don't know why we do this to ourselves. Just do the work, put the time in on the mat, 18 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, I still have some pain and discomfort right now, but not near what I had yesterday and last night.
Even the breathing is helpful.
Right. Well, that's the whole key to the yoga, right? To me, that's one of the biggest keys.
Yeah.
Is that when you're in a static pose, the breathing that you're doing is causing those micro movements that's getting you, that's what they say, take it to the edge. Because when you take it to the edge, as far as you think you can take it, and then you breathe, you're getting a millimeter or a fraction of a millimeter more stretch out of it. And if you do it as a practice and you do it daily, you're going to see progress. And, but there and again, I'll have to admit to you, because I was talking to Sam, because he stretches me too. And I was talking to Sam about that. I've been fighting with this yoga, trying to get some practice. My hamstrings are incredibly tight. And he's like, well, come in here and you'd be amazed what you can do using some of the techniques that he uses, because he uses a technique. I forgot what he called it, but it's like a muscle release. A lot of the tightness is because the muscle doesn't want to release it. It wants to grab on. Yeah. And so he does this one technique where it releases the muscle. I guess it's similar to, I know my yoga instructor will say, if you just learn to hold the poses longer, eventually you'll just release. And I've actually had it happen to me. I was doing what's called a log cabin, where you stack your legs on top of each other like this. Typically, you'll have your top leg will be up like this because the hip just doesn't want to release. I was at the beach and I was breathing through the discomfort, and then all of a sudden, it just boom. And you want to talk about a freaky feeling. Because it's not conscious. Yeah. It's on a subconscious level that the body just said, yeah, okay, I'm good. Boom, released. I can't do that. I can't do this. I tried it this morning just to see if I could do it. And I held it probably for about 3 minutes. And it wouldn't release again. It's just, you got to clear the mind. I think the conscious mind wants to hold on. Maybe I'm wrong. And you got to get the conscious mind to it's kind of maybe backwards. The conscious mind just has to let go and clear out all the junk so that the unconscious mind can let it go. But because the conscious mind is trying to hold on, you actually don't get a release. And the release comes to me. This is my opinion. I'm not an expert. I don't know shit. But in my opinion, I think it's the unconscious mind that actually provides a release, but it can't provide a release if the conscious mind is trying to hold on, trying to force it. Like one of the things the instructor always saying is don't force it.
Mm-hmm.
Forcing it is not going to get you there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much of Aikido there's stretching involved or those kinds of movements where you try to get more range of motion and mobility.
Yeah, they have what they call ki yoga.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's its own. It's got a different methodology, but it comes out of India basically.
But Aikido is Japanese.
Yeah, but the yoga, the ki yoga was Tohei Sensei had met a yoga master, and it influenced him on the stretching.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Interesting.
and so he incorporated a lot of that into stretching. But the idea Tohei liked, was the mind leads the body. And so in that process you were talking about, there's certain things that we do, like you can't just say relax and then it relaxes. So you have to add some leading in there that's connects the mind and the body, and breathing is generally what connects the mind and the body. So when you add breathing in, you can do more. We typically see that in our shoulders. That's where it's not so weird.
We hold a lot of tension in the shoulders.
Well,
right?
we'll breathe, and then all of a sudden you'll realize one shoulder drops, and it's the mind's leading the body, but it's using breathing as the mechanism to do that. So it's weird because they're connected, but the mind does lead. And the whole premise of Aikido is, in all the phases of Aikido, is the mind leads the body. Even when you get down to if you have a fighting mind. So you train not to have a fighting mind. So there's more than just techniques you're trying to learn. You're trying to train your mind to lead in a way that's safer. I just started a book. It's based on better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war.
Isn't that like some sort of...
Yeah, it's a famous quote from Japanese.
Okay.
Yeah, proverb. We would call it a proverb. But that's...
So peace through strength.
Yeah, better to be a person of strength in a garden than to be a person of weakness in a war.
So this is what you're working on now. This is the current project.
Yeah, and I've actually I took another take on the and I made it another female samurai.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that taking her from a child through an adult and putting that idea in her head that she's learning to be a female samurai. But I'm kind of intrigued with female warriors. We don't say enough about them.
You mean as far as women being strong?
Yeah, I mean, we typically have our warrior stories are men, famous warriors. So,
I mean, was there ever a female samurai?
Oh yeah, there were many.
Really?
Yeah,
like often, way back when they had the samurais.
Yeah, often, if a samurai didn't have a son, he would train his daughter the same way as if he had a son.
All I can base my knowledge on is Disney movies like Mulan.
Yeah, well,
was that a real thing? Because that was China, right?
Yeah, and I think that was probably a story.
Sure, but was it fiction as far as the females weren't allowed to be warriors?
Well, actually, China? A lot of both in China and Japan, a lot of the females were good warriors if they had the teaching. Mm-hmm. So if they came out of a samurai family, they were going to get the teaching. They may just use different weapons. And so a lot of times the women's worked the fields. And so they had naginama, which was a long sickle. And that's how they would chop the rice. But because that was their common
daily tool,
right? they learned how to kill you many ways with that.
Right, because that's their muscle memory. They know how to use that tool. They know how to hold it. They know how to wield it, whether it's cutting rice or cutting down the enemy.
Yeah.
They're able to use that same tool. Interesting.
So that was one reason they learned with their daily tools. They may still learn, other things, but a lot of the women were rice workers. A lot of them were, but there were a lot of men who didn't have.
Are there any
sons.
historical stories of women that have been actually captured and made it from past days of the samurai?
Yeah. They've had. I can't think of any at the moment, but there are battles where the women were in the lines, and it wasn't that uncommon for a female to be in the battle line.
I guess especially if she didn't have any brothers.
Well,
was it like, did they take just the oldest of the family, or?
Well, so if you could imagine a samurai not having a son, he's going to train his daughter. So it's passed down generation to generation. So she would in turn pass it down to her son or her daughter.
So this was in the family.
Yeah, it was a family. It was always family tradition. So, I would much rather have a daughter of a samurai next to me than a son of a mill worker, next to me in a battle,
Right.
She knew how to wield her weapon, and he was probably just out there using brute force,
Right.
But
didn't have any of the key.
Key, it's always been there. I didn't even realize this, but Japan at one time was part of China, and then different waters rose, and then the islands. There was lowland.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Japan's basically, I hate to say a mountain, but for no better word, a mountain.
A mountain range.
Yeah.
That then got separated
so that
with
lowland
water.
Caught all the water, and that's how Japan separated from China with that water change. But
how recent was that?
Oh, I think it's been thousands of years.
Okay.
But that's why they're so linked. They're originally Chinese that have just been separated by
water for thousands of years.
Yeah. And so a lot of things are derived from China, not Japan.
So Japan would be a younger culture
version of China. Yeah.
I see.
So they just developed their own language, but they kind of understand each other. The way the kanji, they kind of understand each other, but they're just different. And then Japan ultimately just separated and didn't want to pay taxes anymore and fought with the Chinese until the Chinese gave up.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Chinese sent several armadas to Japan to defeat them, and each time they were defeated.
I guess, wasn't there a Japanese-Chinese war right around World War I or II?
World War I? Yeah.
I guess the Japanese were fighting the Chinese?
Yeah, the Japanese actually tried to take over China before World War II. They had probably invaded China in the late 30s and something like that, late 30s, maybe early 40s. And they had gone pretty far into China. Japan conquered quite a bit. All the Chinese labor came in to build stuff for them. And so it was pretty interesting.
So the samurai was the protector of the whole country, or for?
Well, they kind of had, I guess you would call them clans, or not like tribes, but clans, basically by land, by city. And then there would always be a protector. So the samurai was the protector of that clan's leader. So generally, in Japan, there were probably, 3 to 6 clans.
Did they fight each other?
Yeah.
Yeah?
They were always fighting.
Amongst themselves?
Between the clans, yeah.
Us humans,
Everybody wants more of what you got. And, it's always been going on.
Wow. Because, isn't that the case in the, the Scotland and Ireland and all of that? They had the clans and I guess they fought each other too. Then eventually they were fighting England.
Yeah, it's kind of like that where you envision Braveheart and there's clans and, different. There might be one leader, but different clans.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder why we just can't get along with each other.
Somebody's always got more stuff. And that's why it's greed for the most part. You were talking about the stomach earlier. It was interesting with 2 dying parents. Stepdad died first, but when somebody's dying, they listen to the stomach. I don't know if you've been around that, but I asked, why do you listen to the stomach every day? They said, because when you're dying, the stomach disconnects from the brain. It's like that nerve connection separates. And that's why when people are dying, they don't want to eat anymore because the stomach is disconnected from them. So the stomach is generally the precursor to dying. The stomach tells your brain, by the stomach cutting off from the brain, that's how they know you're dying. It's pretty interesting.
So I guess they don't hear any movements or anything going on.
There's no gases. There's no
intestines.
There's nothing going on down there. And that's how it was interesting to me anyway, how they know you're dying.
Right.
They listen to the stomach. There's some other signs like circulation issues. And
in your fingers.
But really, you could just have bad circulation.
Or even the nerves. I remember this.
Mm-hmm.
If you are suffering some sort of a nerve disorder, you can't do this.
Yeah.
You can, but it'll be really hard. You'll have to, I'm doing it. Versus, so just all these little things that just start signaling.
You were talking about the brain and the stomach.
Sure, right, yeah.
That was interesting.
It's your second brain or first brain, depending on how you want to look at it. Maybe it's your first brain if that's what disconnects first.
In that sense, it's your first brain. In that sense, because it defines your dying.
Right.
Interesting.
Well, what I want to come back to, though, is this whole idea. I guess Aaron's the one that got me really kind of thinking about this, is unmasking. So it sounds like you went through that process.
I think
kind of digging in, who am I? Who am I really? Who is Keith Thorn?
Yeah. What's driving me? What makes me happy? What am I doing just because my parents did it? What am I?
Or relatives, or
what's motivating me, or
even society. This is what society says you should be doing. This is what society says you should be. Versus, what do I really see that?
Yeah.
And who is that today? Who's Keith Thorn today?
Yeah.
Are you able to put that into words?
I don't know yet.
You're still working on
it. I'm hoping somebody can read between the lines.
And let you know.
Yeah, tell me. I was telling somebody the other day, because they said, how can you write so much, so fast and all this? And I said, I think I'm rather obsessive. And there's certain... And I just take that obsessiveness. I can't let something go unfinished. It's kind of just part of that's from my parents. I had a single mom, but part of that's just the pressure of never being allowed to not finish something and quickly.
So I'm not that way. If you look at my projects, there's always one little bit that's not finished. So I just remodeled the bedroom as a present to my wife. I painted it, cleaned it all out, put it all back, put up some drapes. And I said to myself, I want this to be finished. But then God or the universe or somebody had another thing to say about being finished. And I closed the door before the paint was dry. Mm-hmm. And it got stuck and I had to push it open, barely got it open. And the hinges were on the inside of the bathroom. And there's no way to get into that bathroom. I got it open and it peeled all the paint on the door. So that still unfinished right now because I got to
resand it.
I got to sand it and peel and repaint the door. But, and I wanted to, and part of that is I wanted it to dry. I mean, I'm not going to be able to sand it till it's really cured all the way, which is probably cured now. Mm-hmm. But I'm still not sure when that's going to get done. But yeah, so I'm a little bit different in that. That's always been the challenge for me is actually get it done and make it to the finish line completed. It's always been a super hard challenge for some reason. Something in my brain doesn't want me to allow finish. Whereas you're on the other side of that spectrum, you've got to keep going and you're driven until I get it. You know, you wrote that, what was it called? The grapes, sour grapes?
No grapes and grateful.
No grapes and grateful.
Have you not seen that one yet?
I have not.
I'll see that over there. Pull one out for you.
Okay. Yeah. I got to give that one a read.
Anyone you want. It's good. Good to go. Yeah. You asked me about myself. I realized I'm obsessive. I remember, I remember when I was young, and I wrote about this, I think just in a post, not in a book. But when I was young, I had to basically clean the whole house every day before my mom got home. Before she went to her second job, I had to clean it. And I hated doing that. And I remember I would get she got home at 4:30 every day during the week. And she always worked 2 jobs. She would turn around and go to the next one. And so I got it down to a science. I would start at 4:00 and I would be like a whirlwind through the whole house. And it really taught me to just become kind of a systems person. I say that because I'm pretty creative, but if you don't have systems, you're not going to be efficient. You're just going to be effective.
Right.
So this whole obsession kind of came from my mom. She's a fairly critical person. And so I'm a bit obsessive, but I'm also more of a kind heart guy that I'll pick up the worm in the rain and throw him back on the grass,
Right.
More that way. But at the same time, angry that I didn't like the lot that I got cast, So and then.
But the gratitude can help you with that, right?
Yeah. So, but I'm starting to realize that,
maybe that lot wasn't so bad.
It really, it wasn't so bad, and from a grateful heart, everything brings you to where you are today. Are you healthy? Yeah. You got enough money to eat and live and get from A to B and do what you need to do and be happy. And, there's no room for entitlement when you're grateful. So being obsessive, I've learned to look at that and say, that's how you produce a lot of books and quickly. And I don't wait on anybody for anything.
You didn't wait on me. You got to get this going.
People, it's like, some of the books I've just started writing prologues because it's hard to tell people, hey, I need you to speed it up here.
Yeah, I don't know that. Like, I was really surprised. I was like, he's ready for this already. We just talked about this.
So I might write 6-8 hours a day.
Well, this is what you're
pretty
doing.
much what I'm doing. I still work 14 hours a day. I'll still do web work and other work, but my focus from about 4 or 5 o'clock to 10 o'clock is generally writing. And I'll write, and I might jump in and out of several books. I've got 5 projects right now that are unfinished. And
yeah, but what's the timeline on these 5 projects? Because Keith talks about these 5 projects, guys, and the reality is these 5 projects are going to most likely be done by what? The end of the year at the most?
No, because I'm starting to get more ideas than time. It's really crunching me.
When do you do your Aikido?
No, that's evenings and Saturdays.
That's in the evenings and Saturdays.
Saturdays. So, at this point in life, the fight's not there anymore. There's no need to fight. There's no need to prove anything. There's only a desire to be at peace with yourself.
But I feel like, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like maybe part of that drive is you have a story to tell, and you feel that, I think if somebody reads some of these stories, they're going to get something out of it.
Yeah, I was really surprised. Melody's grandson read the book When I'm Gone, and he texted Melody and said he wrote different lines in his journal, and he mentioned a lot of positives about it, how it affected him. And I was thinking, well, maybe I can't help my kids, but I can help somebody else, because we're all dealing with the same stuff. We're just maybe not dealing with it well, and it may be just a different perspective. So I'm writing from a parent.
Or whatever it is. I think, that's kind of, the name of the show is Vibe Your Vibe, right? And I think, and every voice has a frequency. And I think what it is that for whatever reason, that frequency, like someone else could have written that same thing or something very similar. But for whatever reason, it doesn't resonate with that person. And then you write it and it's saying the exact same kind of stuff, but people are like, oh, well, Keith's the one that really knows. Well, no, it's not that Keith's the only one that really knows. It's just for whatever reason that resonated. And I think that's what happens out in the world. And the reality is that, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think there's ever been an author that sold 8 billion books yet, because there are 8 billion people or 9 billion people or whatever it is now. And there never probably will be somebody that sells a book that's going to resonate with every single human on earth. And we're all, so much alike, but yet what is it? What is the percentage of difference in us? It's not much. It's very small percentage that makes you and me.
Yeah.
We're like 99 point something percent alike. Yeah. Except for that one little, pinch of ingredient. And I think that's kind of my motivation for doing what I'm doing is I think everybody has a voice, and there's people that want to hear what you have to say. And I'm trying to go out and meet interesting people to put it out there. And I'm pleased as punch. Some people like, well, your stats don't look very good. You got 24 subscribers. I'm like, that's 24 people that might actually be influenced. And kind of what I like to say is, imagine being in a small auditorium at the local library with 24 people. I think most people that was out and book a little event wanting some people to show up, they would be tickled pink to have 23 people show up, right? They would love that. And you're making an impact, even if it's only 24 people that show up or whatever that is. I've actually had some of these videos I've noticed had over 100 views. I was like, oh my God, I can't even believe it. I just got started and, something got 100 views.
Probably same for your Vibe podcast. There's a certain unmasking that's going on that people resonate with. And I think that's where I would say my books are timely. They're timely for me because I'm unmasking. And as I do that, what I'm saying is fairly authentic to people. And I think it comes across well. I'm not smarter than anybody. just my unmasking process is saying this was all the onion peels that came off. And some of them are smelly and some of them, but they're all valuable.
Right.
And everybody's going to read my books and find some different value in them. But almost everybody tells me they find nuggets in them. And I like this sentence that really resonated.
This book here, I'm not all the way through it.
Uh-huh.
This is, again, it's what I hope you remember. And it's just, each little story is what, like this one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages. And this one is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages. I mean, essentially they're individual essays or stories.
A lot of times it's kind of interesting because I kind of write the way I think. I think in spurts. So I when I read like my wife's books and I'm thinking, how could you write 30,000 words, and
in
like
one go.
I can't even think that way. I'm too much of, it's just different ideas and they're just
constantly boom, boom,
yeah.
boom, boom,
And it's not like one-liners, but it's certainly not, it's not like Miss Steele. It's just like a chapter is like 22 pages or of just constant writing. That's just not the way I think. So a lot of people that read the book, some people will say, I read it in 8 hours because they couldn't put it down kind of thing, which is unusual, but it's easy to read.
Well, I guess that's what I liked about it because, you read one and like, oh, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
And at least this is my mindset as I was digging into this book. And then you're like, then you read the next one and you're like, oh, wow, I like that one too. And you just kind of keep going.
Yeah, it's kind of like eating.
I'm probably somewhere around here and I just started yesterday.
Yeah.
Wherever my last dog year was. Yeah. But I've got like 100 pages into this in one day. And
a lot of, I think that's just a style that I bring to it. I'm trying to be unmasked, honest, deal with a real life situation, express feelings, but do it in a lot of bite-size, especially chapters, a lot of bite-size.
Have you ever thought about being like a writing coach at all and sharing your process with other people?
No. I did sit down. I have a 19-point outline.
Because I think you shared, did you share that with me?
I don't remember if I did or not, but I said I did. I did. Did I?
I think you did. I'd have to go back and look.
But
I think you sent me like a message that said, this is what helped me. And you had maybe it was a document.
Yeah. I'm unusual because I can do every part of the book. So that's where
you got that graphics background.
Yeah, I can do the cover design. I do
your daughter can help with the
that's just a picture I took and
but it's
I think
real.
I took it actually holding my phone up. That's why I
think people are just, but I think you maybe even mentioned this about your current profile pic is it's maybe a little bit too produced. I think people are attracted now to the real and the not so polished and produced.
Yeah.
And
with the finger on the chin, all that stuff.
I got one like that too. I don't know, but I like it. My wife took it, so it's special.
Well, yeah, we have reasons for liking stuff. But that's where can be obsessive. I can just write the prologue. I don't need somebody to write a foreword for me or, I can get all this stuff accomplished pretty well. I just have tended to say, hey, will you write this foreword for me? And I've just tended to do that. But if I'm a little too obsessive, I'll just write the prologue and be like, I just will move this along.
My only suggestion is you're pretty forthcoming, but I think maybe a little bit more forceful in the fact that I'm done. I think you told me, I think you said something like, I've done the writing. I need this.
Yeah.
You're holding up the process.
And it's not you. I just finished a book I had finished it a month ago. It's called Be Careful What You Believe. And it's basically talking about your inner voice. Be careful with that because it's not always true. If you're telling yourself a negative story, it's not true.
And it's strong, right?
Yeah,
that voice
it's the one
powerful.
you know. That's why you listen to it. It's like hearing your dad's voice. You know that voice. But the voice that we talk to ourselves in, it's very familiar. We've heard it all of our lives.
And if it starts going negative, it can be pretty bad.
Well, we trust it. But it's not necessarily trustworthy.
Did you kind of cover that impostor syndrome at all, kind of in that book?
How so?
In the sense that, there's always that inner voice like, you don't belong doing this. You're not a writer.
Yeah.
What are you doing? What do you think you are?
Yeah.
Is that kind of what you're talking about?
That's basically
not me saying it, but
saying,
the inside voice saying, you're an imposter. You're not really what you, or my inner voice saying, you're not a podcaster. What do you think you're doing?
It's really what it's saying is be careful about what you believe, because you're believing something based on what you're listening to. And so the whole book is just covering that. Be careful about that. But the guy that wrote the foreword took another month to write the foreword. And, he's very apologetic about it. And he wrote a great foreword. But I'm like, I'm shuffling all these projects. I'm waiting on the forward and all these shuffling going on. But it's just part of being obsessive about trying to get it done.
Yeah, getting it over the finish line.
Yeah, because I take it straight to the publisher and put it on, and because I self-publish, it's not like I got to go through some publishing house and go through some big process. I just go to Amazon Kindle, go to my account and upload the manuscript and the design. And
so this new book talking about this inner voice, can you share any more about kind of your thoughts on this inner voice? Because you said it doesn't really cover imposter syndrome so much.
Well, it's and then by the way, all of the books have the first chapter in audio and print on the website, keiththorn.com.
Okay.
So that's like giving people a taste of your book. You can always go listen to it.
Yeah. I mean, I thought, because you shared that first chapter with me.
Yeah.
And that was, it was very moving, just chapter one.
Yeah.
I think most people I'm sorry, I just cannot get that book title.
Which one?
The Grapes.
No Grapes and Grateful. It's almost even hard to say.
No Grapes and Grateful. I shared that with Elena.
Okay.
And she's like, just wow. She's so if you have a copy, that'd be great, because she would love to read that one. She definitely said she wanted to read that one.
To me, it's a powerful book when you just accept the fact that the only reason you're not grateful is because you feel entitled. That's the only reason. So
it's a different. I love how you have that perspective on it, which I'm going to say is a truth.
Mm-hmm.
And then I like Gary's perspective on it is like, if you're not grateful, if you're grateful, you're living in abundance.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're opposite of abundance is scarcity.
Yeah.
And so you're saying if you're not grateful.
I'm saying you don't have to have a harvest to be grateful.
Right.
So it's a little different
this entitlement.
Yeah.
So and actually, you know what? I think even Gary talks a little bit about that entitlement too, a little bit. Yeah. I think he does
the
touch on that
entitlement's a really tough thing. We all do it to ourselves, all of us,
Or did you share that book with me already?
Which one?
The chapter 1 of the inner voice. What's the title of it again? Be careful what you believe. It's not printed yet,
but everything's on the web very early. Once the first chapter is done, I put it on the web. And part of this is my 19-step process. So once I get an idea, I actually design the cover. I might change it, but I design it. And a lot of times it stays pretty much the same. Because I get a vision for it, and it's almost like I can musicians talk about how they can hear the music. And,
oh, right. Like I was reading about Ozzy Osbourne, who just passed recently. Apparently he was dyslexic and ADHD, and he would do things with a tape recorder. And he's like, oh, I got the whole, got the whole song in his head.
Yeah.
The complete song.
Yeah.
I'm like, that just blows me away. Like the complete. So for you, is your process, do you have the whole book? It's just a matter of having to type it out?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Pretty much.
You got the book, you got the cover, you're ready to go. And it's just a matter of sitting down at that computer and just getting
everything
down.
Becomes a solidification process for me. As part of the creative and the systems matching up, and aligning for efficiency and effectiveness. So when I get the idea, I typically come up with what I call a summary, just typically some kind of summary. What it is, you see it a lot of times come back here. And then out of that, then I'll get little blurbs, but then I'll go do the cover. And then in that process, I'll move to maybe chapter 1. And then sometimes in that process, I'll say, hey, can you write the foreword for me? Sometimes very early in the process. And then I'll get chapter 1. And when I get chapter 1, I'll go to audio and I'll get it uploaded to audio and to print and to the website. And then that whole process becomes, I'm looking at it saying, I got to finish this.
That's your motivation. It's like, hey, I put out that I wrote this book.
Yeah.
But we're still missing the rest of it. We only got chapter 1 and the summary and the cover and the first chapter audio. And it's like, okay,
I don't know if you notice I put coming soon.
Right.
And so it's like overpowering
Gotta get to work.
Motivation. And so I'll do that to myself. And it's
motivation,
kind of my system.
Or is it discipline? Because you're pretty disciplined too. What would you call it?
I work 7 days a week. I generally work minimal.
You say that though. Is it work?
Well, yeah, I enjoy my work is another way to say that.
Right.
But yeah, I'm up 4 or 5 o'clock every day.
Because this is who you are. This is about
I'm
you.
trying to pour myself out. Yeah.
And it's
every day.
It's your process of being you, which I guess, like I said, I'm not saying it to make light of it, but it's not work.
No, in that
sense, this isn't. You're not like, oh my God, no. You're saying it's motivational, but you're like, oh, it's Wednesday the 23rd. I put that first chapter out last week. Oh,
no, I look at it.
And you're like, I got to get writing again. You're not. That's not part of this process.
No, I go to bed thinking, I hope I get some good sleep because I got 3 more chapters to write out tomorrow. I got all this to do in the morning.
Right.
And I'm happy about that. Work for me is the web work.
Okay.
Client wants this. I got to do that. Here's the problem. People are giving me problems and I'm trying to solve problems.
Right.
I'm trying to figure out what they're thinking. There's all that. To me, that's work. This is just go.
Yeah, just go.
Yeah, just go.
Because you've been doing this for how many years now?
I've probably been doing this about 10 years. I just started in a different way. I just started collecting stuff.
But when did the first book get published?
First book was last year.
Oh, so how much of it was collected prior to last year?
On the first book, 100%.
So you had it there. You just needed to put it out.
Yeah. Even some of the different books, Stillness in the Storm, I have been probably collecting that for 10 years.
Okay.
So
it's just a matter of maybe organizing it a little bit.
Well, it was figuring out a system. So I had all this stuff. I had all these quotes. I used to just collect quotes.
So you've put out, in the last year, you've put out 15 books or 16, I guess, now.
Well, I've got 5 more in the hopper.
Is this all fresh stuff or is this still coming from notes that you've had?
The latest ones are all new.
So these are all new.
The first series, a lot of the first series, even Waves, Wind, and Wisdom, that was almost all pre-written before it was just a collection. Some of it was just taking.
So that's part of this such a fast acceleration. Yeah. Now, my question is that going to slow down a little bit, or you think you're going to be able to keep up with that?
I think I'm on pace for about a book a month now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's still pretty quick.
It's incredibly quick. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was telling Melody yesterday or this week, I said there's so much overlap in the books. Because you're talking about second chances, you're talking about redemption, you're talking about you're not finished, you're talking about a lot of these same things. And I kind of look at it as like you're holding a big diamond and you're just turning it.
Mm-hmm.
You're just seeing a lot of it's pretty every time you turn it.
Right. And it's a little different look.
It's kind of the same stuff, but you see different colors, different reflections, you see different clarity. But I think that's where I am in the last, 5 or 10 books especially, is I'm saying a lot of things in different ways, but they're a lot of the same things. No Grapes and Grateful is not that far from this. What I hope you remember from my perspective, because I'm saying I'm still grateful even though you might not see it. And here's what I hope you're grateful about. It's just a lot of the similar themes and similar emotions. I'm just talking to different people sometimes. Sometimes, like the book, When I'm Gone, I wrote that to my kids. I wrote this to my kids. A lot of similar things. Be careful what you believe is another one that's kind of to my kids.
Because it explains about the inner voice that you had and how you listen to it.
Well, they may be listening to the wrong inner voice too.
Right.
Meaning it's easy because it's the one you believe. But that's why we study other great thinkers, and that's why we study faith and hope and love. And we study these things because they're not our natural voice, or at least we don't listen to it.
Right.
So we study great thinkers, whether they're philosophers or religions or martial arts or whatever, and that's where Stillness in the Storm comes in. It's saying, hey, there's a lot of ways to look at this. And so, these books, some of them, there is a group of books about traveling in Port Isabel and South Padre Island. And those were almost written before they were, because I was blogging or I was writing anyway. And then I just had to collect them into a publication, those took no time at all. It was just a matter of accumulating everything, having a system of accumulating. Stillness in the Storm, I had to just go back and figure out how do I systematize. The good thing is I could just systematize into a date. I didn't have to make a date say something, like Valentine's Day. February 14th, am I going to say something? That's too complicated. It's way too systematically complicated, to try to, because then you'd have to look at every day and say what falls on that day. And then, from a systems point of view, all I did was take all the 365 thoughts for one day and then just line them up for 365 days. So that system wasn't that complicated, but I had to figure out how to do it. But I've gotten pretty good at systems. I do everything pretty much the same way. When I bring it in to a document started, I use a preset document. All of my paragraphs are set the exact same way in every book. I use the same font in every book. I'm just trying to be systematically efficient.
Yeah, keep it simple.
I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel on every book.
Right.
I'm not trying to do that.
That's probably some of the challenges people have is one of the courses I'm taking right now is the mentor in it, don't get so distracted by shiny objects because you want to have this and that, and it becomes a nightmare of distractions and delays because you're so focused on all these little things and instead of just getting it done.
Somebody else might be like distracted by which font I should be using.
That's what I'm talking about. So you said I picked the font. I like the font. It works, and I'm not going to revisit that again.
I'm going to do it the same way.
Kind of like Steve Jobs puts on. I think what did he wear was either a white or a black T-shirt and a pair of jeans. And it's just that's it. That's all he's going to wear.
That's a system. It's just saying I'm making more efficiency.
I don't have to think about what to put on every day. It's going to be this white. I think it was a white T-shirt. I'm going to put on a white T-shirt and jeans. I'm done.
Yeah,
that's it. I don't have to use brain power to make these choices anymore. Actually, I think Mark Zuckerberg might.
I think Zuckerberg had the white shirt and the Apple guy had the black shirt.
Okay, can't remember, but I know maybe it was Zuckerberg. I think it was actually Zuckerberg that was the one talking about how he doesn't want to use any thought energy on what to wear, so he just has the same thing and doesn't have to think about it.
Just a closet full of them.
Yeah, there's a closet full of them. Here's a guy that could wear anything he wanted, right?
Yeah. It does make life simple when you have good systems. Even between our wives and I, there's that I saw this meme it wasn't a meme, it was a video, and it was a couple on vacation. And so the couple comes out, like they meet at the hotel door to go somewhere. And every day the husband comes to the hotel door, he's got this shirt on and this shorts on. And then every day the wife comes and meets him in a different outfit and he's got the same outfit on every time. It's pretty cute. But if you're married, you kind of understand that.
They don't want to wear the same thing twice, do they?
Yeah, that's why their suitcases are huge. And my attitude is, that's what the laundromat's for.
Just wear the same thing over and over again. I think I'm probably in the same shirt. I don't know how many of these I've worn the same shirt on. Location.
Yeah, no grapes and grateful.
There we go.
That's probably overall my favorite book now, because to me that's your foundation. Everything else kind of builds on. Getting rid of entitlement is such a difficult issue. I mean, why am I driving a 2-year-old car, not a new car? Why am, it permeates every area of our life, every area. And that, to me, is just a foundational issue that once we can get a grasp on that, you can be happy.
Yeah, I have a gratitude journal. I don't know if you saw the post on it. It's made out of poo.
What struck me about that was how little he understood his actions affected his family, his friends, his coworkers, and in the bad choices that he would justify in his head weren't hurting anybody else. They were hurting a lot of other people. You think his bad choices, and then just take, for example, maybe his mom's not sleeping. And then if his mom's not sleeping, you think his dad's happy, and if he's got brothers and sisters and he's calling them, complaining about his life, you think they're happy. And they're listening to somebody.
Well, I can see how you can, how all this impacts.
And then
his mom's not sleeping, and then so she's tired. She goes to work. She's not doing the job. If she's got a job, I mean, it just snowballs into this giant impact, right?
And maybe he's drinking in private, but his kids know he's drinking in private, and so and his coworkers are maybe picking up slack in his job, and it just affects so many people, and so. I was trying to write this book and say, look, you've got to get a grip on the fact that you affect this world with your behavior, especially that destructive behavior. So
I just cracked it open, this chapter 9. This is actually interesting. I haven't read the chapter. I just picked this up for the first time. and you put in these reflection prompts. These are
are
like hard hitting. Wow. What comes to mind when you hear the word unfinished apology?
Mm-hmm.
What's the cost of not apologizing? What fears or stories have kept you silent? What would you say to them if there was no consequences? What changes inside of you when you speak a truth you've long buried?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Even at there's a story, and I like to think of myself as a storyteller. I'm trying to make a story and not bash you on the head about your behavior, but tell a story. And then at the end of that, in this particular book, I talk, and I do it in No Grapes and Grateful also. I basically kind of give them a little bit of a workbook and say, here's some work. Then even at the end of the book in Our Bad Choices, I say, here's the next 30 days. Here's something to think about.
Okay.
Here's some mind thoughts to consider. But so there are some overarching themes. Gratitude is one of the strongest themes. And when you get a hold of that, then you can deal with second chances and remorse and so much else.
And I'm just again, turn to another page. There's so much in this that's so valuable. Wake with intention. Start each day by asking, what truth do I want to live today? Let that guide your tone, your pace, your presence. I mean, again, there's so much crossover. I mean, I wonder if this idea of like being yourself, being your true self is also kind of covered.
Yeah, to come up with that stuff, I have to unmask myself and say,
like, who am I? What is?
Here's what I did. Most of the time, I'm saying, here's the mistakes I made. I don't say it that way. Generally, I'll say, think about this, think about this, think about this, consider this, because what I'm really
like you said,
saying,
you don't want to be. I don't want to talk about your dirty laundry. As
yeah, and
that wouldn't be as interesting.
Nobody likes you telling them what to do either.
Right.
But maybe a story will help.
And then a reflection on that story.
It reminds me of the idea, I call it a story, but the idea of, being two wolves in your life, one's good and evil. And then the issue becomes, which one do you feed? Which one wins? It's the one you feed. It's kind of like that. That's a story. It's not telling you right or wrong. It's just saying which one you feed is going to win. So kind of from that vantage.
Sure. I can relate to that, right? Yeah. Because you're not being critical. You're just saying the one that's going to be the winner is the one that you're giving the attention to.
This one was difficult because I felt more comfortable with talking about my mistakes, not with drinking so much. And this wasn't about a drinking book, but that's where the idea came from, was watching somebody who was making other people miserable and had no clue. With
their addiction.
Yeah, no clue. It was just self-absorbed and no idea how it affects other people. And I think when we're listening to that wrong voice, we tend to justify our behavior.
I'd say we're probably really good at that.
Yeah. And that just continues a bad spiral of behavior. So a lot of these, especially these latest books, are really about, it's not over. We've all got second chances. I don't care if you're 40 and you're an alcoholic or you're 50 or 60 and a drug addict, or whatever your problem is, or like me, maybe you just don't have the emotional IQ that you needed for your kids when you were young. I just didn't have it. Now that my kids are like, who's this guy? I don't even know that man. Well,
because you've grown and you matured and you gained wisdom.
We all have to grow up, and some of us are just late bloomers. So
I know I am definitely a late bloomer. I'll definitely put a check in that category.
I like to think of men are slow. That's the way I like to see it.
We'll eventually get it figured out.
Yeah.
Keep chugging forward and improving ourselves as we go.
Yeah. So some of the other books will be out next month. I think one or two will be out next month.
So these are the two latest: Our Bad Choices and No Grapes and Grateful.
Yeah. If you're looking at it, you can read it.
If I have it in my hand. Okay, yeah. No Grapes and Grateful.
So this Our Bad Choices is going to have more of a limited reach. It's going to be.
But this is, you're saying, of all your books you have right now, this is.
I think that's broad across the board for everybody, because that's the core value of.
Would you say, so that's interesting. Would you say this is the core value of getting to who you really are, is first sitting down and just being grateful for what you have?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then maybe with that, you're able to actually be open to the idea of what you truly are.
Or could be.
Or what you want.
Get to be.
Or what you want, or what direction you want to take your life, without having to be pretending or performing. You can just be present in the true person that you are. And what Keith Thorn would say is start with gratitude.
It to me, that's when you exercise that word, everything entitlement goes away. And that's, I think at least it's my opinion, that's the one word that's gripped our society is entitlement. For the last 20 years at least, we're entitled.
Who was it? I think it was Alex Hormozy. Are you familiar with him at all? Okay. He's on the internet. He's motivational. About, not stopping, not quitting would be another, one way you can guarantee you're going to fail is, or maybe it's not even guarantee you're going to fail. The one way you will fail, and how most people fail, is because they quit.
Yeah.
Or something to that effect. I can't remember the exact quote. It came from
You only fail when you quit.
You only fail, something like that, right? You only fail when you quit. I remember seeing, it was just a single post, I think it was on Instagram, saying the United States is one of the most entitled group of people out there, and they don't even know it.
Yeah.
They don't even recognize it. And that's kind of what you're saying.
They
have no idea how entitled we are.
And I'll speak for myself, even somebody who's writing this book, I'm amazed at how entitled I feel about anything,
Right. Now, speaking of entitlement, you wrote this book and you put it out there. Is there any expectation that anybody's going to pick it up and read it? Or do you hope they do? Or what do you think about that when you write these books and put them out there?
Part of everything I'm writing, I'm just unmasking myself.
Just letting it go. It's just a release. It's like, I got to get this out.
Yeah.
Whether anybody reads it or not, whatever, good on you if you do. And that's great if you get something out of it. But for me, I got to get it out. I got to get it.
Yeah.
It's like you're overflowing with this, and it's a way to just kind of release. Am I reading you right? Or?
Well, and then that kind of brings me to a closely connected second view, which is I'm an artist at heart. So artists just want to make stuff.
They just want to create. Yeah.
They just want to create.
I mean, if it sits on this bookshelf, you're happy. Yeah. I did it. There's my book. It's done. It's got the covers printed. It's on my bookshelf, and I feel good about it.
I think I
can relate. As a fellow artist, I can definitely relate to that.
Part of me is just that obsession with this was. It's no different whether it's photography or what. You see the sunset coming and you want to capture it. And
I'm like that. Like what's the guy's name? Mr. Brainwash. See that I'm like Mr. Brainwash. Mr. Brainwash has like hours and hours and hours and hours of video of other artists painting on walls and graffiti and all this. And that was one of the posts that I think I put recently is like, I really need to share. I guess the one way I should look at it, and I guess it's the fear, right? The fear gets us. We're scared of being judged and critiqued. But I have all this great photography that no one's seen. And I think the new mindset I have, and I'm kind of past this, it's just more of a time management perspective, is just being greedy to take that picture, that great photograph that I took, that great portrait, and then not to share it. What do you think about that? Is it being greedy not to share your books and not to write them? Like, is that kind of another way to put it? Maybe that's the negative spin on it, but do you understand what I'm trying to say? You have this in you. You had this in you, and you put it out there. So and for you not to write this would be sort of greedy, or at least not. Maybe you could write it and have it in your computer, and it stays in your computer, and no one ever sees it. It never gets put out there.
I think the artist in us is going to win out. Yeah, we just want to get it up on the wall. You know, you can't control how many people pass by that wall, but you just want to get it up.
Right.
And thirdly, I kind of laugh at a lot of the people, especially on social media, who will say, it's never too late to start over at 40. And I'm thinking, I'm 67, guys. You know, you're young, you know, and kind of tying that to all of this is to my first comment, which was, you know, I'm unmasking and I'm not getting any younger, would be my third comment, you know. So between the first and the third, I don't know, and I can't control who reads it. My kids may never read it. I don't know.
That's the only people that you really want to read it.
That's the people I care about the most. I dedicate almost every book to Melody because I think it starts with gratitude, and she's where I choose to start. It would be nice if people read it, but then you start getting into the ego side of it. And I guess
that's where I'm going, right?
Yeah,
there's really no ego. I mean, to let the ego out and not let the ego win out is to actually put it out there and share it and then let it lie. Yeah. And it's going to have a life of its own.
Yeah.
And it could be the next greatest book that's ever published, or it may not. And that doesn't really matter.
No.
That's not going to stop you from writing the next 5 books.
No,
the reason why I'm going down this pathway is I think in social media out there, and we're participating in LinkedIn pretty heavily recently. I think a lot of folks just get so caught up in the vanity matrix of things. And I guess that's kind of where I'm going is it doesn't, and you're pretty much saying that it really doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't even matter if your kids never read it at the end of the day, because you're going to let them be however they want to be.
Yeah.
And you're going to let that go.
Yeah.
It's not going to be easy. That one's going to be tough.
Yeah.
But the rest of the people, you're going to let them.
Yeah.
And either they can read it and take the lessons that are there from a man that's matured and has some wisdom to share, and or they're not, and it doesn't really matter, and you're just going to keep cranking them out. And
as long as I have the ideas.
And I think I don't know if you ever read, who's the guy with the War of Art?
Oh yeah, I know. I can't think of his Sal
Pressman.
Oh,
Pressfield.
Yeah,
Stephen Pressfield.
Okay.
So I think if you who's going to read this, or I think what he doesn't really go into it, but it's sort of also impostor syndrome in a way, right? It's that it's almost if you think of it, a way of entitlement.
Mm-hmm.
If you let that resistance creep up, because he's like a super big proponent. If you want to be a writer, he's coming from a perspective of a writer.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're a writer or an artist, a photographer, a painter, a drawer, whatever it is that you create, is you go out there and you do it daily.
Mm-hmm.
he's like, there's days he wake up that he doesn't want to. I mean, he's talking. I think he's older, so he's talking from a perspective of maybe the typewriter, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's days I don't want to get up and type, but I still get up and I type. And maybe there's days I don't feel like getting up and writing, and I still get up and I write. And that's the difference between someone like yourself and someone that, like me, that's got an idea for a book that's still in my head. I got an idea of at least 2 books in my head, and there's still no book done. And it's because I let that resistance get to me, and I want to resist it. And maybe it's a little bit of that imposter syndrome.
I think too, it's also that what's on your plate.
Well, and I'm just going to share very frankly what happens. I had an entire book written, and how I wrote it was I spoke it to my phone, and that phone died.
It's gone.
And it's gone. And that was just a super
heartbreaking
heartbreak. And
I know.
And I just haven't had it in me to get it written again. I mean, literally it was done. It was a matter of shipping the recording to somebody on Fiverr and having them transcribe it, and then taking that and then refining it from my spoken word. So you write this actually out via computer document versus spoke, but you've had that, you said you had that happen where you had spoken the book and you lost it, or?
Well, what happened, it was the book itself, one of the books, and I can't remember which one now, but I have a process that I go through, the 19-step process. And anyway, I had made a mistake in my process. Say it had 200 pages, and I replaced the first 10 pages of the book, but that was the whole book. So I was just in total shock of, I can imagine what you felt. I was like, I cannot believe. I was just beside myself. I was like, I can't
couldn't get it back.
Believe I did that. How
you lost like 190 pages.
Yeah. And so
of a 200-page book. And so you're basically done.
Oh, it was done.
Because these books are
in print.
Oh, it was already in print.
Yeah. So it was a printed book, but I had made an update to it. It was When I'm Gone. It was Melody's grandson said there's this typo. And so I went, and I fixed it. And then when I put it in the manuscript, I put it in, but I somehow deleted out the 190 pages. and I was just beside myself. I couldn't even imagine what I did or what I was thinking. But in that particular book, I'd also made an ebook. So I basically had the original. So I was able to go back and take those pages and put it in the ebook and then convert the ebook back. But I can only imagine the feeling. I didn't fully lose the book, but I did.
Your heart, I guarantee your heart sank, didn't it?
I did for like a half hour. And I just sat there because I couldn't even figure out what to do. And I was thinking to myself, do I go back to Amazon and say, I lost my book. Can you give me my book back?
Electronically.
I didn't even know what to do. And so anyway, but fortunately I got it back. But I had about a half hour of that feeling.
Yeah. So that's a book. It was a book about night photography that I get excited about night photography. So I had wrote a book about night photography, but
well, don't rely on a phone this time because they only last about 3 or 4 years.
Well, no, I don't think that was the issue. If I remember right, I think I dropped it in some water.
Oh, okay.
And it hadn't synced yet to iCloud. So, yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, definitely don't rely on a phone.
How depressing that would be.
Yeah, same way with your photos, right? Don't rely on your iPhone for your photos. I always try to back it up every so often. I just want to say thanks for having me over again.
Hey, thank you for coming. We got new books every time you come. I think that's one of the things, and we've talked about it, is my ideas are so much faster than I could even possibly write. Possibly. So I'm always at least 5 books ahead of myself. So I'm always playing catch up. So when I get up in the morning, I'm getting coffee playing catch up. I'm not.
That's crazy.
I'm not worried about
coming up with the ideas.
What I like or don't.
It's a matter of just getting it down.
Yeah, I'm just trying to catch up.
Wow.
So it's I hate to say it's a race, but it's a catch up game for me always. So I go to sleep pretty easily at night, but then I wake up and I just get up and go.
So yeah, you want to get down to the truth of who you are. Start with gratitude.
Yes. And even if you say my kids don't talk to me, I'm still grateful because they're healthy and I know they're living a good life. And there's so many things I'm grateful for.
Right.
You know, if you remember back when your kids were born, people would say, do you want a boy or a girl? Remember that? I mean, it's been 30 years or so. And I would just say, I just want to be healthy.
Right.
I didn't care.
10 fingers and 10 toes.
I wasn't thinking grateful, but I was just hopeful they would just be healthy. Because I'm thinking to myself, I don't know if I could deal with it. I don't know if I could. I just don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I know people that do. I've got a couple of friends that have that to deal with.
Yeah.
And
I just don't know.
It's a special person.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
That's a special person. This didn't have a picture.
No, I didn't put one on the back of that one. I had too much copy.
Too much copy. Okay.
I almost typically do put our pictures. I didn't put one on here either. They always want this space down here too. So there's all kinds of issues of space.
Trying to do
Yeah.
This one's got a different code. Have they changed the codes?
I start with the Amazon on all the books. And then I go to 2 other publishers, like Books By is one. When I say publisher, print on demand. And then there's a bunch of vendors that pull their books from them. Amazon only does their own books. But then like Books By will have vendors that sell through them and will go to them for their books. And the same with...
do you ever get your books like on a shelf? Is that something you have to actually work to do? Or
yeah, it's, the bookstores are really tough to work with. And they basically say, when your books are selling, bring them to us. And bookstores just want books that sell. They don't want
You're not like
new
going out and buying
authors.
gold bars with the books that you're selling, are you?
Yeah.
No.
So
I don't know if you heard that.
Yeah, no gold bars.
No gold bars.
No, what do they call it? Bitcoin? No nothing.
Bitcoin, no nothing.
Nothing.
Do you ever ship books to certain people that are book reviewers or that write book reviews?
I have started that a couple of months ago where, most of them take like 2 or 3 months to review your book, so. So if I have a new book, I probably won't hear anything for, 3 or 4.
And you're so quick, you're on to your next book.
Yeah. So I mean, so I've tried the book reviewers and there's different avenues, but it's not like a publisher is saying, hey, I'll forward you $500,000 and we'll print up 1 million books. I might be dead when that happens.
Yeah. You're still working your way through that part of the process.
Yeah. I think there's creativity, there's systems, and then once you get on the marketing and advertising side and sales side, there's such a whole different ball of wax to deal with.
Has the LinkedIn helped you at all?
It's, just today somebody reached out and they had a podcast and they wanted to invite me to their podcast, and everything's slow and organic. I mean, even everything good, there's good that comes out of everything.
Right.
It's just, I say slow, and I don't mean that as being like it's got to happen fast. I just mean
it's just
I'm way ahead of the curve in writing them.
You got to stay steady on it.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I'll definitely stop by, and I'm sure there'll be another book to talk about.
Yeah, we can always Zoom from. You can, especially when I'm in Port Isabel and you're in Florida, we can.
Port Isabel is the South Padre Island?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the same place, basically.
Okay. All right.
But
well, who knows? Maybe I'll take a trip over there.
Yeah, it's nice. We like it. We'll.
Is your trailer there already?
The Winnebago, is there. Yeah, we just put it in storage and then bring it out of storage.
Oh, I saw one here.
But that's a different one. That's the one we keep up here, and we just go camping in it.
Oh, okay. So you
Yeah.
have is it similar what you have down there?
No, the other one's a Class A.
Oh, it's a Class A.
Yeah, so it's a bigger, longer one. So it's something you want to stay in for 6-7 months. The little one up here, the 22-foot one, is more for short term.
Okay.
Yeah, we've enjoyed it, and we enjoy the people we meet.
Yeah, there's always interesting people to meet.
Yeah,
At least I think so. That's
yeah.
why I do this. I think it's great.
There's really
Get to-
interesting people out there, especially when they get to a certain age where they're done with the BS.
Right.
They're not trying to press you anymore. I don't know if you noticed, we built more bookshelves.
Oh.
Yeah, these 3 weren't here last
Oh,
time.
they weren't. Oh,
No.
okay. All right. You knew.
Yeah,
Okay.
the same builder built some more. We're running out of bookshelf space, so
There you go.
I think we've pretty much filled the room in.
Oh,
So,
yeah, you can only some room for. Oh, and this guy here.
yeah.
I think I got a piece of art that my mother-in-law has given me that I think is similar.
Is it the same guy, or
I'm going to take a picture of it. I'm supposed to take it home when I leave.
you should take a picture of that one?
I think I did. I took a
did
picture of
you?
that one. But I think it's
Yeah.
the same guy. So anyway, well, I got to go. Hey, thanks for having me over.
Thank you, buddy.